Okay, so the world is absolutely buzzing about AI and creativity, right? It feels like everyone has an opinion. But today, we're going to cut through the noise and look at a really powerful new way to think about how we actually build things coming from a designer who's right there on the front lines. Let's get into it.
So let's start with this quote from Ryo Lu, who's the head of design at Cursor. This just gets right to the heart of the problem with the old way of doing things. This idea that you can create a final, pixel-perfect mock-up and then just hand it off to be built. Ryo's point is that this whole way of thinking is fundamentally broken. Why? Because that first mock is never right. So, what do we do instead?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack here. We're going to break down Ryo Lu's entire philosophy of making. You can think of it as a playbook, really, for any creator, any designer, any builder who's trying to figure out how to work in this new world of AI.
Okay, to really get Ryo's process, we have to start with his foundational worldview. It's a really simple but honestly profound idea he calls it's all the same thing.
So for Ryo, the world isn't made up of a million different unique things. No, instead, everything, and he means everything, from a piece of software to life itself, is just built from the same simple parts, these universal bricks, just recombined in new and interesting ways. So your job as a designer isn't to invent something from nothing. It's to master a few of these core building blocks and then get really, really good at finding new ways to put them together.
And this is what's so cool. Ryo basically defines design as the act of consciously participating in this process. You're not just watching it happen. You are actively looking at the world, you're seeing the patterns, you're pulling out the simple rules, and then you're using them to build something new. You're part of that emergence.
But, and this is a big but, it's not easy. Not at all. Ryo uses this fantastic swan metaphor. You know that beautiful, simple design that just works? That's the serene swan gliding on the water. But to get there, you have to do all the messy work. You have to wrestle with real users, real feedback, real-world problems. That's the furious paddling happening like crazy right under the surface.
Okay, so if that's the philosophy, how does it actually change the way we make stuff day to day? Well, it's a huge shift. It's about moving from painting a picture to sculpting a material.
This really spells it out, doesn't it? The old way, using something like Figma, that's like painting. You're creating a static image, a representation of the final product. But the new way is sculpting. You are working directly with the raw material itself, which for software is code. You're shaping it, you're refining it, and you're embracing that messy, hands-on process. And this is maybe the most important point of all. You don't start with a masterpiece, ever. You start with what Ryo bluntly calls shit, or what a lot of people are now calling AI slop. That first generic, unrefined output you get from an AI. The genius isn't in that starting point. The magic happens in the relentless, obsessive process of refining.
And this is exactly where AI becomes a total game changer. It is the ultimate sculpting tool. It just collapses the time between having an idea, building a rough version of it, and actually feeling what it's like. You're not just thinking about the thing anymore, you're thinking with the thing in real time.
I love this quote because it captures the whole idea perfectly. Think about it. A mock-up in Figma doesn't really exist. It's just a picture, an illusion. But a janky, buggy prototype that you built with code, that's real. It's a tangible thing you can actually react to, play with, and make better. The simple fact that it exists is what gives it all its power. So, if the process is like sculpting, what are we trying to find inside that block of stone? Well, the ultimate goal isn't just to make something that looks good, it's to find something that is true.
And this is where the whole conversation goes to another level. We're moving beyond just craft and into something much deeper, almost philosophical. What in the world does it even mean for a design to be true?
Well, to find that truth, Ryo asks these kinds of fundamental questions. He's trying to strip away everything that's non-essential to get to the absolute core of what he's building. What is its simplest, most powerful version? What can I keep taking away before it just stops being what it is?
And here's the answer. A true design is a solution that feels so perfect for its time and place that when you look back on it, it seems obvious. It feels inevitable. Like, of course, how could it have been anything else?
So this brings us to the final, and I think the most human piece of this whole puzzle. In a world where AI can just churn out endless amounts of content, that AI slop we talked about, how do we possibly create things that actually have a soul?
Ryo's answer here is just so powerful and so direct. Soul isn't something the AI just gives you.
The AI's output, that generic purple gradient it's spat out, that's not the end. That's just the beginning. The soul, that's what you put into it.
So the big takeaway is crystal clear. Your care, your taste, your willingness to poke and prod and refine, that's what turns a generic piece of AI output into something that feels special, something that feels soulful.
And this just brilliantly shows why the human creator actually becomes more important, not less. You are the guide. You are the curator of the AI's raw potential. It's your unique taste, your intuition, your sensibility. That's the bridge that takes you from generic slop to something with real soul.
And so we're going to end by turning this whole question back on you. In this age of AI, everyone's worried about being replaced. But maybe, just maybe, Ryo is right. Maybe the real challenge isn't about trying to beat the machine. Maybe it's about knowing your own taste, your own vision, and your own soul so deeply that you become the one thing the AI can never, ever be: irreplaceable.